Brothers of the Light. This is Hal Weinschenk with another Spiritual Power Hour. I'm going to shorten it down. I'll call it Soul Talk, and that'll make it a little bit easier. Tonight's topic, I'm going to go online in about 2-3 minutes. I'm just doing some basic setup for right now. But tonight's topic will be about dreams and synchronicities and about accessing your intuition. I'm going to keep this one short. I'll go ahead and do this for about maybe 15 or 20 minutes and then ask if there's any questions. Again, it will be recorded live, so you don't. It will be sent over to YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and Facebook. So if you cannot access this tonight, it's about 6 p.m. Pacific time here in California in the United States. There will be a recording posted in Facebook and YouTube, and then also over on TikTok. My TikTok channel is at Soul Learn, 2 words, at Soul Learn. My main website is soullearn.com, and you can access me in that manner. If you have any questions, either join my Facebook group, which I will go ahead and post a link at the bottom of this video, or you can access me at my website, www.soullearn.com. Again, my name's Hal. So yeah, what I want to talk about this evening is dreams and synchronicities. This came up in another spiritual group that I was in this afternoon. A lot of people, specifically a lot of people are hearing buzzing in the ears, right? And then also music. They're hearing sort of a tonal quality. Some are, of course, just hearing regular music that you would find, say, on the radio or what have you. Some are not. Give me one moment. Let me handle a technical issue here. Okay, everybody let me know, please, if you can hear me and you can see me. It would be very helpful for me to know that. And then if you have questions, of course, just go into the comment section and I will answer any questions at the end of this presentation, okay? And give me 1 second here. Ask questions. And hear me. Okay. Lucid dreaming is, I've been studying this stuff and practicing it for well over 25 years. And so I've gotten to the place where I can be very lucid in my dreams. Being lucid in dreams means that you have the ability to, first of all, know that you're dreaming, and secondly, to be able to alter the dream, becoming aware in the dream that you're dreaming and be able to alter the dream. So I've been doing this, like I said, for over 25 years. This comes up a lot with what are dreams and what are synchronicities, and I tie the two together because they're very similar. When you study psychology and biology, they'll just tell you, well, dreams are a function of the mind, and from a physical standpoint, the body needs to rest, and then psychologically, we need to deal with issues that we've been dealing with during the day, and etc. And that's true. That's from the physical standpoint. We're mind, body, and spirit. So that talks about the body side of it. From a body standpoint, we basically will go into a dream, and you'll recognize this type of dream. There's only 3 or so different types of dreams. I call that a brain dream, meaning a left brain, intellectual, physical body dream. So for example, let's say you're dreaming about your job, or you're dreaming about your spouse or your kids, and it's very clear in the dream when you remember it. When you wake up, you say, well, I remember this because I was dreaming about my boss, and my boss was, getting on my case or what have you. That's what's called a brain dream. It's more logical, it's more concrete. That's more simple in order to define that, because a brain dream is just your psychology, it's just your animal body wanting to recapitulate, replay that scenario in your head so that you can sort of heal it in the dream. Okay, because essentially what we do when we go into dreams, we heal the body. The typical person does not need more than 4 hours for the body. Okay, so when they say you need 8 hours sleep, and it varies, I'm generalizing here, but the body itself, in order to repair itself in REM sleep, which is the deepest level of sleep, only needs that first 4 hours, or 4 hours total. The second kind of a dream is what I would call a soul dream, meaning it's very symbolic. It has certain portions of the dream in which are very confusing, if you remember it. And again, if you're a lucid dreamer, you learn how to be aware in the dream that you are having the dream. And on that side note, let me talk about that for a second. One quick practice you can do to become more lucid and more lucid is you keep a journal, you know, a notebook near your bed, and you have a pen and paper ready, and the second you wake up, you just start writing. I'm talking about when you're groggy, when you're in that place, they call it somnambulism in hypnotherapy. It's a state of trance. It's a state of, you know, there's alpha, beta, you know, delta states in the brain. Somnambulism is that exact state you're in where you're half awake, half asleep, and you're aware that you're laying in bed. So you're both groggy, still in the dream, and you're also aware that you're in the bed. So that's somnambulism. That's that in-between place where you're not quite awake yet. That's the best time to start writing things down. And just write down your dream as just blah, blah, blah. Write down big pieces of the dream, because if you start to think about it, like, let's use an example. Let's say, yeah, I had this dream, and my manager was on my case, and I was in the such and such office, section of the office, and blah, 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 and she was yelling at me, right? That's an example. If you start writing all that down in details right when you wake up, you'll lose the dream. So the best thing to do is just write something down like office, manager, yelling, like that. And then as you wake up and as you write down more details, the left brain will kick in, and then you'll start writing down more details. And so we have that left-right brain thing going on. Dreams are right brain. Dreams, from a spiritual standpoint, is you're going into your astral body. The astral body is, we have this physical body, we have several bodies. We have an emotional body, astral body. So the astral body is, if you've seen the astral photographs, right, the auric part of your body, it's basically the spirit body is kind of the simple way to say it. So we do a lot of work when we actually go to sleep, okay? That's when we're doing the majority of our work on an energetic and spiritual level. So the best way to learn to lucid dream is to first kind of give yourself a command, put the notebook next to your bed with a pen, and say, I'm going to remember my dream tonight. And it sounds silly, right? It sounds simple, and it really is that simple. It will take time, but with practice, you'll start to lucid dream. And you want to write down your dreams. So the thing with lucid dreams is, for example, when I was doing my undergrad research paper in dreams, what are dreams? What are dreams, right? Every culture has a different definition of it. The Aborigines, certain tribes, believe that what's going on in the real world is the dream, and what goes on in the dreams is the real world. Okay, so wrap your head around that for a second, and then you'll understand what dreams are. But to put a simplistic tone on this and definition, dreams are essentially a deeper reflection of what is going on in your life. Okay, so dreams are the spiritual work that you're doing, and you'll go off and you'll do certain things. And this is very typical if you're a type of dreamer, if you're a high soul, and you go off to these different planets and these different locations, and when you wake up, you're like, wow, what was that? You know, I saw a crystalline city, and I saw these creatures I'd never seen before. You're astral traveling. We're multi-dimensional creatures. It's very much like in the movies, the superhero movies, where they talk about a multiverse. We live in one of the universes. The universes are sort of like layers, you know, and there's multiverses, and we're multi-dimensional beings. We have the ability to basically say we can go and visit a different lifetime, a different origin, a different body, a different race or species, etc. And so it's sort of like, it's very much like you see in the movies where you are astral traveling. You're leaving this physical body. The physical body is still attached. Dolores Cannon and others talked about a silver cord that's attached. It's more or less attached in the center of your being, which is above your belly button and below the sternum. That's your center of your being. You have that silver cord that keeps you attached to the physical body. And as a soul being, your actual power that you have is to astral travel. That's the biggest power that you have. So dreams are that. Dreams are exploration. They're sort of a healing process, even on a spiritual level, and they're also a way of redefining things, you know. And that's why you're visiting different areas and different places. There's many of your aspects of you that need to heal. And so if there's many aspects of you that are healing, you're going to be doing that in your dreams. And that's often why, especially, you know, higher souls or people who are evolved wake up exhausted, okay? Because the physical body has rested, but your astral is off doing so much work that when you come back, you're kind of like, phew. If you're experiencing that, a good sort of a mantra to say to yourself is, I call back all of my bodies to myself, or I call back all of my energy to myself. And just sit there in bed. It's better to sit up, in my opinion. Maybe if you can, if your legs are not short or your bed's not too tall, is hang your legs over the edge of the bed, put your feet flat on the floor if you're able to, so that you're grounded again. And then do that mantra. I bring back all of my bodies to myself. I bring back all of my energy to myself. And when you do that, and you can slap your knees. That's another way to ground yourself. Bop, 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 slap your knees, and you'll get more grounded. And that's bringing back all the bodies. There's different aspects even of the astral body. You have multiple layers of the astral bodies. And so you need to bring all of those back. And that's why some people will feel very discombobulated, you know, in the morning. They're wondering, you know, wow, I need my coffee or whatever. For me, I have to jump in the shower immediately to ground. Otherwise, I will be kind of drifting all over the place. So that's what we do when we're dreaming. We're doing these astral travels. The second aspect of dreams that I wanted to cover is synchronicities. A lot of people talk about synchronicities, not quite sure what they are. You kind of experience it in your life, where synchronicity is, oh, I was thinking about this and then that happened. Okay, it's synchronous. It synchronizes. Synchronicities are just like dreams. Dreams are all in a symbolic language. Synchronicities are the same way. They're symbolic. And so when I first brought up at the beginning of this talk about, there's a lot of talk about people hearing voices, hearing music, hearing buzzing, hearing tones, you know, hearing different sounds. That's symbolic. It comes in through the ears, so to speak, and it maybe reminds you. If it's very literal, meaning you hear a song from, say, the 80s or 90s, and that reminds you of when you were in high school, and that reminds you of your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, okay, that's a literal dream. That's a literal synchronicity. Some of the synchronicities, for example, the ones I'm discussing, which came up in several groups about music, that's because we're ascending, we're evolving and growing. There is what is called the cosmic tones. The higher beings, the higher extraterrestrials, all study and learn and grow through sound. Okay, so when they get above the physical plane, it becomes sound and light and vibration. And so as you're evolving, you may hear the buzzing, you may hear the cosmic tones or the cosmic music or celestial music, some people call it. And you may be hearing what sounds to be kind of strange sort of things. So that's what that is. It's either a literal synchronicity or it's that. The thing with dreams, the thing to remember about dreams, your real life is a dream. It's an expression of everything going on in here in your head and everything going on in your heart. In other words, you are expressing, and life is reflecting that back to you. Okay? So when you really get into synchronicities, I used to teach an entire class in synchronicities. If you guys are interested in that, I'll go ahead and teach that. But synchronicities, when you become very aware of your life, you become very mindful, you'll start to see certain things. Everything, everybody, everything is an aspect of you. This is a tough one to grasp, but you're creators, okay? It's the perspective of it. It's like two people who witness a car accident standing right next to each other. Person A has a completely different experience than person B. This is well documented. Police will talk about this. They can't get a straight answer from two eyewitnesses. That's perspective. That's your experience coming back to you. That's the dream. That's the synchronicity. So individuals in your life, like using the example, your office manager, when I study dreams and I taught dreams, the best way to define your own personal synchronicities, because there's universal synchronicities and personal synchronicities. Personal synchronicities is like this. It's like your office manager's name is Mary. When I'd work with a client, I'd say, okay, now describe Mary. Well, what do you mean? In 2 words or less, traits or attributes describe Mary? Well, I mean, she's kind of hyper and she's a little bit on the impatient side. So then that's the impatient and slightly hyper Mary aspect of you. See? That's the way dreams work, that's the way the life dream works, and that's the way synchronicities work. Nobody is in your life for accident. There's no accidents. That's your dream. That's your experience. You brought and attracted in Mary, which is an aspect of you, to teach you certain things about being hyper and impatient. See? And so that's how synchronicities work. Car accidents are a very good example. Car accidents are the universe hitting you, right? Because a car accident always involves some hit, some bump, some crash. That's literally the universe hitting you, kind of like upside the head, like, wake up, we've been trying to tell you about this and so. Let's use the same example. We've been trying to tell you about you being too impatient. And so if you're impatient as a driver, what do? Zoom, 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 right? And you typically, an impatient driver will have a front-end collision or a rear-end collision. Because a front-end collision is that person is driving too fast, right? And they just run into somebody because they're impatient. And so the universe is saying, ugh, stopping you. Or you're rear-ended, which means maybe you're not going fast enough, which is, you know, another cousin of impatience. So everything in your life is a symbol for you to learn from. Everything in your life is a dream, okay? Another aspect of synchronicities, because I mentioned universal synchronicities and personal synchronicities, or symbols, really. If you want to understand the universal symbols or synchronicities, you can there's multiple dream books. Some of them have different definitions of different symbols, right? So let's use, for example, let's use snakes, okay? People that have snakes or spiders in dreams, generally it's led to believe that it's, you know, sexuality. Kundalini is a snake. Spiders are considered like a sexuality. For myself, for years, I was like afraid of spiders, and so to this day, I still get spiders, okay? That's both a universal and a personal one, meaning around the world, a lot of people have that same symbol, that same synchronicity, and it usually means the same thing universally, okay? Personal synchronicities have to do specifically with you. And when you become aware of the dream world and you become aware of synchronicities, you start writing these things down. Oh, I just saw a spider today. Oh, I was just thinking about my ex-lover. Oh, I was thinking about, you know, wow, that was really a, you know, tumultuous relationship. And so maybe that's why the spider is there for you. A very good book that I've used over the years, you can tell it's worn out and everything, is Animal Speak. Okay, Animal Speak by Ted Andrews. And this gives a lot of symbologies of different animals and what they mean universally and what they mean, could mean for you personally. I highly recommend it if you're going to be doing dream work. If you're going to be doing dream work, it's a very active process. In other words, you start to get into that mindset that I'm talking about. Wow, let me see what my life is reflecting back to me in the form of symbols and synchronicities. Okay? And you'll start to notice the symbols, and then you'll notice the synchronicities. When I was thinking and feeling this, a spider came in, you see? Or numbers, numerology, study numerology book. And you can tell yourself, tell your higher self, and tell your guides and your angels, I would rather learn everything about my life through numbers. I really love numerology. And you'll start getting numbers. Everybody knows that you can go online, like I keep seeing 1111. What does that mean? And you can go and look it up. That's numerology. There's I have a book like this fat on numerology. That's not my thing personally. Like numerology for me is kind of a different thing, but I like animals. And so this book is probably, I've had this book probably 20-something years. And it's still in print, by the way. I asked for my symbols in terms of animals because I wanted to know what my life was doing in terms of animals. And so depending upon the animal, for example, another real good example is hummingbirds, right? Hummingbirds, their symbol is sweetness of life and productivity. Hummingbirds, I mean, they're the most amazing bird on the planet. They can fly backwards, forwards, whatever. And they wings, you know, they're the symbol of that, and it's not hyperactivity, they're just very active, okay? But what do? They drink sweet nectar. Bees are another example there in this book. So what you want to do if you want to get active in your dream work and get to a place of lucidity and all that, what you can do in your waking life is what I'm talking about. You can say to yourself, I want to learn my dreams by this and so. And you'll know it because it's certain symbols that you've been getting for your entire life. And you'll know it. You'll know what I'm talking about. Just sit for a moment and say, oh yeah, I've been getting a lot of numbers, or oh yeah, I get butterflies come by, or oh yeah, I get a lot of smells and colors. It could be anything. Your symbols and your synchronicities are determined by you and used with your guidance and with your higher self and with your angels to teach you your lessons and to teach you about yourself. And so life in a dream, life is but a dream. Life in a dream is reflecting back to you. And so all you have to learn is the language, okay, and the process. And the language is symbols. The language is in different forms, numbers, animals, etc. But if you start looking at your life that you are the dreamer and that everybody is a reflection of you. And I've had people say, well, come on, what are you talking about? I had this guy, come up to me. He was a homeless guy, and he smacked me across the face. What does that have to do with me? How could that be a dream? What were you thinking and feeling just before that happened? And it will always come up. It will always come up. I was really angry. I was just thinking, man, I really just, hate homeless people. It could be that severe. But it's usually not that severe. And what the universe does, what your angels and guidance do, they will bring you these signs and symbols on a very slow basis at first, okay? Meaning they're going to throw, it's like flashcards when you teach kids and you put a flashcard up in their face, right? Apple, right? In this case, spider, right? And so you're learning through your symbols. When it starts and it comes to you physically, like somebody slaps you or you have a car accident, that means you've been ignoring your symbols. You've been ignoring your guidance, which we do. We get into our left brain and we think. That's going on for thousands of years on this planet. We need to be feeling. Because feeling, not emotions, it's different. Feelings or sensing is an incoming thing, right? I've just been really feeling like I'm not completing the work I need to complete, right? You'll get a ton of symbols. And you can actively ask your guidance. You know what? I just really feel like I need to change my career. I'm just not sure. Maybe it's just, maybe I'm just overthinking things, but I'm really feeling that I need to change my career. Guidance. Give me some symbols and some signs to show me what that means. They're not going to give you yes or no's. It's not fortune telling, but they will bring in, and you'll bring in, because you're co-working with them, they'll bring in signs and symbols and synchronicities. And if you're observant and you're mindful, you'll start piecing it together. And keep a journal, keep a log. Spider to me means such and such. Keep that journal, because your left brain will forget it by the next day. So keep a journal and see the main symbols that keep coming to you. Everybody has repeating signs and symbols. Everybody. It's just whether you ignore them or whether you pay attention to them. Okay? So that's dreams and synchronicities. There's obviously a lot more to it than that, but I wanted to keep this a little bit on the shorter side. What else did I want to say about that? That's basically all I can say. The thing, again, with the music, I've already explained. The main thing about dreams and symbols and signs is, again, just understand the process and become active in that. And what you'll find is when you become active in your dream life, your waking life, which is a dream, then you'll also be more lucid when you're asleep. It's just sort of a natural progression. It's like training the body for a sport or to play the violin or what have you. It takes practice. And the more you practice lucid dreaming during your waking life and paying attention to your signs and symbols, the more you'll be able to be lucid in your dreams, where the lucid dreamer who's dreaming and sleeping is able to do just like a video tape player. You can hit stop or pause. You can rewind the dream I'm describing. You can go a little bit forward in the dream. But the main way to do that, the first step, is you become aware. You become lucid in the dream. Oh, I'm dreaming. And that comes from practicing it in your waking life, and then it'll also come up in your sleeping life. Okay? Next topic, the last topic I wanted to talk about, it comes up a lot for me that a lot of people, which is normal, don't fully understand how to access their intuition. Okay? Intuition, my definition and what I was taught years and years ago, intuition is really all of your senses working in union. Okay? So we have, the five senses: touch, smell, taste, right, etc. Those are the physical body senses. We also have a sixth sense, which is some people call it extrasensory perception, ESP, and that varies. Some people see visions, some people hear things like this music I'm talking about, etc. Some people sense and know, like I'm an intuitive empath, I can pick things up instantly, it just comes to me. But the way to access that intuition is you have to shut off the left brain. You have to shut off the mind. And when I say shut off, it's not a light switch. It's not an off-off. It's quieting your mind down. It's calming your mind down. And by doing so, you get into a different level of trance. As a master hypnotherapist, I've done over 2,500 hours of hypnotherapy over the years. Hypnotherapy, not hypnosis, there's a difference. And I understand trance. Trance is that somnambulism state that I was describing. Trance is when you're watching television, you kind of zone out, right? Trance is kids that daydream. That's a level of trance. That's actually our natural state. The only reason we think is because we're in a physical world, okay? To get yourself into an intuitive state, okay, means to quiet the mind. Again, I always tell people to focus on the heart because the heart has the incoming truth. The angelic truth, the divine truth comes in through your heart. And by the way, your heart is not the physical heart. Your heart is more or less above your breasts, above your nipples, and you know, below the above the sternum. So sort of like this area here is the heart center. Focus on that and just try to quiet your mind. That's really just meditation. People work way too hard to meditate, okay? The old style way of meditating was hours and hours and hours. You don't need hours and hours. Like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, you can, with practice, you can get yourself into a very light trance state pretty quickly, 5 minutes or so. A good part of that is you breathe, close your eyes, sit upright is usually best, right? Monitor the sensations in your body, like, oh wow, I really itch up here, or you notice I do that a bunch, but I do that for a reason. If I'm going into meditation, I don't do any of that. I sit, you know, quietly. You can fold your hands or not, and you scan your body. You can go from the head down to the toes is usually best, or the other way if that makes you feel more comfortable, and just say, oh wow, I have this tension in my shoulders, let me relax that. You breathe that out. You come into your heart, you get into this meditative trance state. You'll feel calmer. Your mind will not shut off, because it's impossible to shut the mind off. You'd be dead if your mind was shut off, okay? Or unconscious in a coma state. And even then, they've measured patients. They have brain activity. So your mind will get calmer. Simpler is a better word for it, meaning you won't think as many thoughts. And when you do, you're like, I don't want to think about that right now. I don't want to think about that right now. And just bring your focus and your attention back to your heart center. And things will come to you. Intuition is just information. It's a sensing. It's an incoming transmission of information, vibration, light, and energy. That's really what intuition is. The brain, after it comes in as the truth, and the brain will try to scramble it because the ego is tied to our left brain and our mind thinking system. So just feel it. Say, oh wow, that has to do with my fear of such and such. Just like that. It'll come to you like that quickly. Okay? Don't question it. Write it down real quick. Because within 2-3 minutes, your left brain will be, well, no, it's not that. Let me tell you what it is, okay? The ego left brain loves to get us a little bit off course. There's a reason for that. I mean, the ego is not a bad thing. The ego is what keeps us alive here in the physical world. But the ego overreacts. And so that's why you want to calm the mind down. When you study any of the ancient masters, Buddhist monks, that's their main goal, is just to breathe, get into their center. They don't go necessarily for the heart. They usually go for the center, kind of further down in the belly. But they calm the mind, and that's the goal, is to calm the mind. Because when you calm the mind, you access all of your amazing gifts. Trust me on this. When I first did it, it was remarkable, because things will just come to you. It's like you're this supercomputer, and you've tapped in. You have this gigantic USB cable that came into you, and boom, all this information will come to you, okay? So I highly recommend people sort of do a process like that. Just breathe, sit quiet. It shouldn't take more than 5, 10, 15 minutes. And then you can be deliberate about it. You can ask your higher self, your angels, your guidance, your spirit guides, whoever you want to ask for, and you can ask it as a question out loud. Okay, you can say something like, I want to know why it is that I have this issue with being too hyper, because Mary, my manager, she's too hyper. She's been coming to me in these dreams, my waking dream, my work, my job that I go to, and it just keeps coming up over and over again. Like every person, like my last boyfriend was that way, and he was real hyper, and my last friend back in grade school was that way, and it always really bothered me. And that's how you know it's something for you. If it kind of gets you agitated, that's usually a soul lesson. That's something you need to look at. But intuition can also just be used for pure information. Just like I used the example, should I make a career change? You may not get a yes or no to that question, so you're better off leaving it open-ended when you ask the question out loud. It would be better possibly maybe to say something like, I want to know what I need to see about making a career change. What is it I'm missing? What is it I need to know? It'll come in. The intuition will bring it in, and write it down real quick again, and then process it later. Write it down. And you'll see it, and you'll access your intuition. It's not hard. It's not hard. A lot of people get very frustrated. They say, well, I can't access my intuition. My best friend, she's like a spirit guide, and boom, she's just able to do this. And don't get me wrong. Some individuals, some soul beings they've been through thousands of lifetimes where they've done this practice that I'm talking about. And so, yes, they are a little better at it. It's just like a violin player. Some are just virtuosos. They just pick up a violin and they start playing it at age 8. Okay? That's different. But everybody has some access on some level to their intuition, but it takes work. It takes practice. It takes what I just described. Just bring yourself into a meditative place, focus on your heart, ask a question, sit there quiet, and wait for the answer to come. The last thing is the answer to that question, the answer that comes in through your intuition, and it's an ongoing sensing thing, by the way. It's not necessary. You could be in waking life walking down the street and boom, get a flash of intuition. Aha, people call it an aha moment. The thing about intuition, it comes to each individual in a different way. Again, some people are clairaudient, so they'll hear answers. Myself, for example, I'm clairvisual, clairsentient, so I'll hear and, I'll see and feel. I get visions of things. So your intuition will come to you in a different way, okay? For most people, it just comes to you. It's just a sight, a sound, a color, or a sensation and feeling. Go with it all. Write it down real quick, analyze it later. Okay? All right, everyone, I hope that really helps. I want to real quick see if there's any questions that come in. Oh, thank you, Christine. I appreciate that. So when for walk, that's universe sign the way that sign this is sign global systems. I hope I'm on the right path. I want to turn my life story into a movie. Yeah, so she's describing, she went on a walk and asked the universe for signs on the way, which is perfect. That's what I'm describing. She saw a lot of signs on the walk about turning her life story into a movie. So she's very aware she's using the process that I'm describing. Okay, it's not complicated, folks. It's very easy to do, but you have to become aware and want to do it. I'm strongly urging everyone to do this. Okay, when I went on that path of intuition, I was always intuitive, empathic, but when I went on that specific path, the word is deliberate. The word is intention. I said, you know what? I really want to know what these sensations are that I keep getting. And then I said, you know what, I really like animals. And I was led to this book. I went to, it was Barnes & Noble's, I think, and this was like the first book that came up. And that's an example of synchronicity. When you ask, it comes back. So question, Ryan, is what do spiders and butterflies mean? So according to this book, which I believe, I get spiders a lot, spiders mean But spiders, when you think about animals, what you want to think about for the symbology is what do they do? What's their behavior? Spiders weave webs. Okay? Spiders literally build their world around them. That's what the web symbolizes. And where are they in the web? They're in the center of the web. And when you watch spiders build webs, they start at the center and they build, right, like a spiraling, which is kundalini. That's where the association with dangerous sexuality comes from. I don't necessarily believe that. Snakes, definitely, because the kundalini is represented as a snake. Spiders are more about being aware of your ability to create. And this book specifically, let me find it so I can read this off to you guys. Okay, spiders. So it starts out, they always he gives a keynote. Keynote is like, what is their trait, right? And spiders, the keynote is creativity and the weaving of fate. A spider looks like a figure eight. Most spiders. They usually have two, I forget what the body parts are called, like the thorax, and it looks just like a figure eight, which is infinity. Spiders weave their life, and then they attract the prey in. It's a perfect example of creation, right? So that's the symbology of spiders. There's more to it than this. It has to do with spider awakening creative sensibilities, etc. Again, I recommend this book strongly. I'm not associated with this guy at all. I don't even know if the author is still alive because this book came out probably a good 20 years ago. Butterflies generally, and there's a definition of butterflies in here as well, but butterflies in general, when you think about a butterfly, right? Butterflies are like the most peaceful insect on the planet, right? We always get kind of a smile about butterflies. In general, butterflies will come to you when your angels are watching over you, and it's usually when you have some doubts about that. Even to this day, when a butterfly comes to me, it's usually because I'm having some doubts. It's usually because, and the doubts have to do with, I'll see if I can find a butterfly. The doubts have to do with existence, has to do with your spiritual existence. Butterflies, transmutation and the dance of joy. Okay, yeah, I remember this now. So transmutation is, what does a butterfly do? They go from a caterpillar, they transmute, and dramatic transmutation, right? They go from this worm, basically a caterpillar, right? The larva stages, we've all seen this, it's amazing process, and they emerge this beautiful creature, this amazing, beautiful, light, peaceful creature. And then dance of joy, that's the dance of joy. If you watch a butterfly, they kind of dance in the sky in front of you. They fly like no other insect, right? So see how the symbols work, the synchronicities work, and you have to be, again, deliberate. Get a book like this, go get a dream book. You'll see different definitions of spider in different dream books, so go with the one that resonates the most with you, okay? Because again, please remember, there's two forms of synchronicities and signs. Personal signs are what resonates with you. So you could have Bob has a different definition of spiders and symbols and signs about what he thinks and feels about and interprets about spiders, whereas Mary, completely different. So that's your personal signs and symbols. Universal are things that are generally acceptable in the collective consciousness, about snakes or about birds, or, you know what I mean, about sheep, or it doesn't matter. It's more universal. And you can delineate, meaning you can define that down by being intentional. Say, no, I want you to only show me personal signs and symbols. And again, keep a log, because once you start getting active, you start putting things down on paper, you start keeping a log, what happens is your angels, your guidance will start responding to that, you see, because they want nothing but the best for you. The challenge is that a lot of people won't do the work. They love it when you're doing the work. When you have the intention, you put out to the universe, Ryan, that you want to know what these things mean, it will come to you, and it will come to you, and it will come to you. And the more work you do, the more will come to you, and the more will come to you, and your life will get much clearer. You'll start to see things much, much clearer. Okay, I hope that helps. All right, let's see if we have any other questions. Yeah, so those are two very good questions. Thank you for asking. Again, be intentional with your desire to dream. I'll do some more topics, in some discussions. Again, my soul talk or my spiritual power hour is every single Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Pacific. I generally go for about maybe 30 minutes, depending upon the questions. And I think what I will do is put some more posts out on my Facebook group. I'm going to put the link to my Facebook group because I post a lot more in there than either TikTok or YouTube or what have you. That's my main group there. And I'll put the link to that. I suggest you join. There's, you just request, and then I invite you into the group, and we talk about different topics. I'm going to bring up more about dreams because this has always been a very, very popular topic. Even when I taught many years back, I taught my dream class the most. People are really, really interested in this stuff. And you should be, because you become much more active in your life. by wanting to know what your signs and symbols are. And then if you get to the place where you're waking in your dream, right, lucid, you become really a master at this. You become this person who sees, and you don't want to be paranoid. You don't want to be looking at every single sign and symbol, but you do want to be aware. You want to see, especially dramatic things. Because like I said before, if it's coming up and it's hitting you, especially if it's touching you, which is, illnesses, disease, car accident, somebody coming up and slapping you, right? There's no accidents. In the definition of synchronicity, there's no accidents. The universe is actively participating with you, and you're actively participating with the universe. So there are no accidents, not in the truest sense. It's usually what you are vibrating, what you are being is what's coming back and reflecting to you. Okay? All right, let me check one more time. Let's see. I have one more question, but I don't see that coming up. I can see it in Facebook. So I'll answer that later on. Okay, my friends, you are amazing. I mean this sincerely. Please believe this. You are amazing light beings. Amazing. You have incredible power. Do not limit yourself to this waking dream. This physical body, this is a planet of denseness. This is a school, okay? This is not the whole thing. This is our avatar that we're just here occupying in this time and space, okay? There is no time and space. I can get into that as well, but this is all we're doing. Your soul being, your light aspect of you has amazing power. And I can get into that in another talk. You have amazing power. One of these powers that is what I was talking about this evening is the dream aspect. And you'll learn that, and you'll learn to bring up your intuitive abilities. That's literally one little scratch the surface part of your true power. Okay? Please believe that. Please know that. Please feel that. I love all of you very, very much because we are all one. We truly are. Okay? Have a good evening, good day, wherever it is on this planet Earth that you're from, and as you're hearing me. And I will speak to you again next Tuesday night. Come into my Facebook group. I'll put the link, and I can answer a lot more questions there. You can private message me if you don't want to do it in the group, although the group is private. But if you feel maybe embarrassed, you can come in and do a private message with me. I'd be more than happy to help you out, my brothers and sisters. Okay? Take care.